Here to show up and show out. 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 Yeah. Here to show up and show out. 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 Yeah. They cannot turn a notch. Do a lot. Move a lot. You can see it in my eyes if you knew or not. Since a young teen, it's been do or die. Here to show up and show out. 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 Yeah. Here to show up and show out. 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 Yeah. They cannot turn a notch. Do a lot. Move a lot. You can see it in my eyes if you knew or not. Since a young teen, it's been do or die. Here to show up and show out. 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 Yeah. Here to show up and show out. 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 Yeah. They cannot turn a notch. Do a lot. Move a lot. You can see it in my eyes if you knew or not. Since a young teen, it's been do or die.
Good evening, friends. Good evening. Good evening. Dr. Tony McNeil here, live from Atlanta, Georgia, and wanted to have an edition of a pop-up conversation tonight with a dear friend and colleague of mine. Many of you know him and know of his artistry and the work that he is doing at the historic Metropolitan Baptist Church in Washington, D.C. I'm going to be talking with none other than Dr. Will Harris. And we're going to be talking about his new book that just was released called Music Ministry Unplugged. But before we bring Dr. Harris out, I just want to make sure folks know that this live is going on. So as you are coming in, as you are noticing that I am live, if you would just say hello in the chat, and that would be great to know that you are connecting with the live. And even if you're watching the playback of this, let me know that you are watching and say hello. But before I bring Professor Will out, I do want to talk about one thing, and y'all know what that is. The party that's coming up in August, Sacred Soul Saturday. Sacred Soul Saturday is a benefit brunch, birthday celebration, live concert event being hosted here in Atlanta, Georgia. And all of you are welcome to participate. The event, is going to be held August the 22nd here at the West venue. It's a wonderful, immersive event space. And on that event, it will be a time of celebration of not only my birthday, but a time to bring visibility and awareness to two very important charities, NASM and the T.S. Madison Starter House. And speaking of T.S. Madison, she will be there to co-host the event along with Miss Sophia, Atlanta's own. And performing live, we have choreology, neo soul artist based here in Atlanta, and DJing for the event is none other than DJ Jonathan Nutty Hunter. And today we announced Lady Tiana Lemons and Higher Calling. They also will be performing at Sacred Soul Saturday. So if you have not gotten your tickets, I want to encourage you to go get your tickets. And you can get your tickets at this website here that is scrolling at the bottom of your screen, tinyurl.com/Dr. Tony Mac 55. The prices of the tickets are going to go up on June 15th. So you still have some time to get your ticket at the current rate. I strongly encourage you to get your ticket as soon as possible. It's going to be a great time, folks. And I would love for you to be in the house. Love for you to be in the house. All right. Without any further ado, I am now going to bring our guest of the hour to the stage for him to have this conversation about Music Ministry Unplugged. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Dr. Will Harris. Hey, sir, how are you?
Hey, I'm well, Dr. Tony. How are you doing?
I am wonderful, man. I am doing great. How are things up there in the DMV?
Things are well here in the DMV. Listen, man, I am super excited for you for Sacred Soul Saturday. I am planning to be there.
Yes,
to
sir.
celebrate you in the wonderful city of Atlanta, and thrilled to hear about it. And man, I tell you, you do it big. You do it. You do it big. I'm excited to hear Higher Calling, choreology. I'm very familiar with him. I'm super excited for you, and I am going to be in the house.
Thank you.
Going to be
glad to know you coming down, man. Looking forward to having you here. So we're here to not only remind people about Sacred Soul Saturday, but to make people aware about this new book that you have released called Music Ministry Unplugged. I want to make sure that I say that name correctly. Music Ministry Unplugged, Real Lessons for Those Who Lead and Serve in Music Ministry.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about where this book came from and who it's for.
Wonderful. So over the years, I have conducted workshops for many churches on various topics, building and maintaining your music ministry, vocal techniques, all sorts of things. And so one day I said, I had this bright idea. Why don't you just take all of this information, all of the things that you've presented in these workshops over the years and put it in one place, right?
Wow.
In one book. And so that's what inspired the book. And my target audience is anybody who's leading a music ministry, anybody who aspires to be a minister of music in those roles. There's also chapters in this book for those who just sing in the choir, right? There's a chapter called The Role of the Psalmist. There's a chapter for musicians, and we're talking about the importance of musicians and instrumental music in worship. So this book is for anybody who has any kind of connection to music ministry, whether you are actually in the choir, whether you are just fascinated with what we do each Sunday, or if you're leading and serving yourself. So it's for anybody in those lanes.
That is wonderful. And when was the book officially released?
The book was officially released last Tuesday. Tuesday.
Relatively new.
Yeah, very, 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 very new. Yes. And I think you were my very first conversation. You're the very first
conversation. Wonderful. And this is the cover, the book cover.
Yes.
For those of you that are interested in going to order the book, you can find the book where, Minister Harris? Where can folks get this book?
Yeah, so you can go to Amazon.com or you can go to BarnesandNoble.com and get the book. I'm going to be doing some pop-ups in various cities. I'll be in Fayetteville Juneteenth weekend. I'll have some books on hand there. I'll be at the Hampton Ministers Conference next week. I'll have some books on hand there, but certainly feel free to go ahead and order it online.
Wonderful. Now tell us a little bit about your start in music ministry and how you came to accept this call.
Love the question, Dr. Tony. When I think about it, I really just think about myself as a kid. It was always in me, right? When the other young boys would be out on the playground playing football and throwing a frisbee, I would literally be standing, waving my hands in the air, directing the choir. I had this imaginary choir, right? Or I would be playing the piano on the back of somebody's car. And so I always knew the music would be a part of my purpose. However, I did not know full-time music ministry was even possible. I grew up in a small town, Taylor, Mississippi. There was no full-time minister of music. You never heard of such. And so when I found myself, as a kid, I dreamed to be a music professor. That was my dream. But I found myself at a full-time music position. And initially I was like, God, why do you have me here? And the Holy Spirit spoke to me in that moment. And he said, everything you would do in academia, you can do in my church. Teach, train, inspire the people in my church. Everything you would do in academia, you can do right here in my church. And that's when I begin to accept the call to full-time music ministry. And it has been such a blessing. It has been extremely fulfilling as well.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. In your experience of working with ministers of music and musicians, what is like one of the growing pains that you see happening in music ministry now that that deserves attention, that deserves more conversation in an effort to push the church forward in its mission?
Wow. I promise you, I'm not saying this because I saw this on your page a few weeks ago. It may have been last week, but there is so much truth to what you were saying. I think you were saying something about, how a lot of times when we're searching for musicians, when we're searching for directors of music, we're looking at the performance aspect and we're not really digging deep into the heart of the person, into the skills that are needed, like what they need to possess. They need humility. You need empathy. You need compassion. You're dealing with volunteer people on a weekly basis. And so not only do you need to be able to play and be skillful vocally and playing, but you need to have all of these other things. The church is constantly moving. There are funerals within the church. You have to deal with those who are bereaved. You need to have a heart for people. So there's so many elements that you need to have in this role. And so that's one of the things that's being lost today in our searches. And so that would be my answer to that.
Okay, wonderful. Very good. Talk to us, and I'm going back to the book now. Talk to us about the various themes or chapters that are in the book to give us a sense of what to expect.
Absolutely. So the first chapter is called The Calling, and it's where I really introduced how I began my work in full-time music ministry, how I wrestled initially, and then I accepted the call to full-time music ministry. There are chapters discovering gifts and talents in your music ministry, the pastor and the minister music dynamic. That's an interesting the sound
by itself.
I have a chapter called Curating Moments in Worship. People, when you think about curating special moments in worship, think about planning worship and sending people out into the world with a message, right? You don't want music and word not marrying. You want them to be married so that the people, when they leave out of your worship service, they not only feel inspired and encouraged, but they feel inspired to go out and share with other people. And so there's a chapter about curating moments in worship. There's a chapter on building and maintaining an effective music ministry. Those are two different things, building, and then now you got to maintain it, right? So chapters like that are in the book. I think it will be a blessing to so many people, but those are just a few of the chapters that are in the book.
Okay. For those of you that may be joining, I think we have like one or two people that are joining now. I am speaking this evening in this pop-up conversation with Dr. Will Harris, who is an author and recording artist and the minister of music at the Metropolitan Baptist Church in Washington, D.C., where he's been for a little over a year.
1 year and some change. Yes, sir.
And some change. Yeah. And how is that going? How is the journey at Metropolitan going thus far?
The journey at Metropolitan has been amazing. The one thing I would say to anybody who is curious about the path that God has for you, trust his plan for your life. If you open your heart and allow him to grow you, he will grow you. He will send you where you need to go. It has been such a learning experience for me. A lot of the things that I talk about in this book, I'm right in the middle of it right here at Metropolitan. My senior choir is in rehearsal right now, rehearsing for Sunday. And so it's been a tremendous blessing, a tremendous journey. And we are gearing up for some wonderful things here. Absolutely.
I'm sure in your book, and I have not read it yet, and I plan to get a copy. Okay. In your book, one of the things that I'm sure that you address is the issue of worship planning, which for a lot of musicians is a struggle. Okay? Yeah. Whether the pastor is a planner or not, or whether there is a planning team or a worship committee. How people plan worship differs from church to church. What are some of the things that that you speak about in terms of worship planning in the book that you might want to highlight for us tonight?
I talk about each church having its own worship voice. And a lot of times that worship voice has been developed over the years. It's historical. I throw this word out, convergence worship. Convergence worship, where we celebrate the past, but we also look to be relevant where we are now, right? So I talk about each church having its worship voice, and celebrating the history of where we've been, but also acknowledging where we're going. Okay, and we want to remain relevant when it comes to that. I talk about the value of planning worship. A lot of people will see this as, oh, we don't need to plan our worship. The Holy Spirit can't come in if I'm planning. No, there's value in planning. You know, here at Metropolitan, Dr. Parks, his whole series has been planned out for pretty much the whole year. So I know what he's going to be preaching. And so my team and I, we work to try to put music together with the sermon so that there's one theme throughout the service, right? And one of the things that I love about here is that no service is the same. We're very creative. We try to think about curating moments during our worship service. Think about what's happening in the world. Think about what the liturgical calendar is saying. Think about what the world calendar is saying. So I encourage those who are planning music for worship to think about all of those things when you're preparing music for worship. And don't wait till the last minute. This type of thing takes time. You have to plan so that you stay on top of things and so that you can deliver music that goes in line with what the pastor is preaching. Our theme this year at Metropolitan is walking in victory. And so I'm always thinking of that theme when I'm planning music throughout this entire year. So those are just some of the things that I talk about in the book when we talk about planning worship. No one person is an island. I have a team here. I sit down with them each Monday. We have a worship planning meeting where we talk about music, and we go out 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. We're talking about music 4, 5, 6 weeks down the line. They give me input, they give me feedback. I share, we bounce ideas off of one another, and we put our plan together as far as the music is concerned. The following day, I have a staff meeting with the pastors and that type of thing, and I share the music and what I'm thinking, right? And there's some feedback given there. So there's a plan in place, but there's also room for the Holy Spirit, right? So you can't forget that, right? So when you're planning your worship, you also have to keep that in mind. So there's a lot of nuggets in the book as it relates to the value of planning worship.
Wonderful. You spoke about cultivating gifts and talents, and especially for the majority of music ministers or worship leaders or worship pastors who serve in congregations that are volunteer-based. And we know that with volunteers, we get a variety of gifts and talents that span the spectrum. Okay. How do you deal with that? How do you cultivate gifts and talents, varied gifts and talents, along with the varied personalities that come with those gifts and talents?
Dr. Tony, there's so many answers to this, but I want to start off by shouting out the volunteer. I want to shout out the volunteer who volunteers their time week after week. And my choir members will tell you, I thank them week after week for the service that they give, the time that they give. So many people come and they sit in our worship spaces and they just enjoy the music. They have no idea the time and the effort that's been put in to what it is that you see on Sunday morning. So shout out to the volunteer. I like this question because when I was interviewing at Lewis Chapel more than 15 years ago in Fayetteville, North Carolina, there was a lady on the search team, and I talk about this in the book. She asked a question that I will never forget. Her question to me was, she gave a scenario and she says, listen, I've been in the choir for more than 10 years and nobody knows that I can sing. Discover me. That was her question. I don't know how I answered the question, but I've never forgotten that question. And everywhere I go, I am very intentional about discovering gifts and hidden gifts and talents in the ministry. Gifts are not always obvious. You have to be intentional about discovering them. And I talk about the 3 different volunteers that I've run across in my journey of music ministry. I talk about the very enthusiastic volunteer who's excited, but doesn't have the skill that quite matches the excitement, right? They might want to do a solo or whatever, but they don't necessarily have the skill. But as a leader, it is your job to mold and shape that gift to the best of your ability to help them reach that goal. Okay. The second person that I've discovered is the talented but hesitant singer. This is one of my favorites. I have run across this so much. There are some wonderful, talented singers who will tear a church up, but it's like pulling teeth to get them to do a solo.
Mm-hmm.
And you know this person can do it, right? And so you have to sometimes just nudge them just a little bit. Sometimes you have to stroke their ego just a little bit. You know, this comes with years of experience. You know what to do to get them to do it. But I call that the talented but hesitant singer. And then, you know, there is the I know my part singer, right? I listen to the radio. I don't need to come to rehearsal. Yes, you do need to come to rehearsal. So that type of volunteer singer, you have to let them know that excellence requires you to be in rehearsal. You listening to the radio is not going to do it for me. You know, you have to be very firm, set your expectations, and model those expectations in front of them. You're dealing with various personalities. And so when you read chapter 1, I talk about the calling, and I talk about the attributes that you need. You need wisdom. You need strength. You need spiritual sensitivity. You need spiritual sensitivity when you're dealing with volunteers. You never know what they're going through. They've had a rough day at work. You need to be able to discern the room. Maybe you've decided to go in and teach 3-4 songs back to back. But after you've prayed, maybe the Spirit is leading you to do something else. Maybe you should go into a worship moment just to set the space where it needs to be. And then you go into your rehearsal. But you need spiritual sensitivity for those things. And so dealing with volunteer singles, multiple personalities, it is truly a calling. And you need all of the fruits of the Spirit. You need the full armor of God, and you need to be in prayer consistently. You need to be in prayer. Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. Amen. What are some of the key ingredients for you, Dr. Harris? And some of these may be, I'm sure you share in the book. What are key ingredients for you for building and maintaining an effective worship ministry? Not just choirs, but liturgical dance, drama, and any other non-singing ministries that you might have to deal with, especially dealing with children and youth. There are a lot of concerns about children and youth ministries, and especially since COVID, you know, post-COVID coming back, I'm hearing more and more from pastors and music ministers. It's hard to get kids involved in a lot of spaces in churches and contexts. But what are the things that you do to keep ministry across the board for a variety of different ages and talents and gifts vital and interesting and something that people would want to do?
Yeah. Dr. Tony, when I talk about building and maintaining an effective music ministry in the book, it all starts with a vision. You are not just a musician who can play, who can sing, who can teach music. You need a vision. You need to ask God for the vision. And then you need to, so what I normally do is I start thinking about things. What can my choir grow? What areas can my choir music ministry grow in? I start thinking about that early on, and then I sit down with the pastor. I share these things with the pastor. I share with him where I want to go, the things I want to do, I want to try to do. And once we come together with a collaborative vision, then I present that to the music and arts ministry. People want to know that you've got some plans for them. They don't want to just show up week after week singing on Sunday mornings. You need to have some things in plan, you know, some plans for them, areas of growth, you know, retreats. I've done everything you can imagine, from retreats to prayer walks, times of fellowship, you know, all sorts of things go into that to keep your ministry going. Okay. But once I sit down with the pastor, I have a collaborative vision. We put it together. I have what I call the State of the Union address. I have my State of the Union address. I share with the ministry where it is I want us to go. I share with them how we're going to get there. You know, I motivate them. I tell them, listen, there's some things in this plan that might not work, but I want you to trust me. God has placed me here for a reason, and this is the vision he's given me. This is the vision that the pastor wants us to go in. You share that with your people, and then you implement it and you execute. Okay, that's how you do it. Don't just have your singers singing Sunday after Sunday. Give them something to look forward to. I believe in doing concerts. I believe in doing retreats. Even this year with my retreat here at Metropolitan, I have a class in the retreat called Developing the Soloist. There are so many people who have expressed an interest in leading a solo, but they just need a little development, right? Yeah. So I'm going to use the retreat time to have a solo development class. I have a sight reading class. There's so many people who don't know how to sight read, you know, and sometimes when you're doing these choral pieces, you're assuming that they're really understanding, but they really don't. And so this past retreat, I had 2 different sight reading courses. I had an advanced and I had a beginner's sight reading class. Okay. So I always ask myself, what are areas of growth in the music ministry that I can do? I want to keep pushing them to the next level, keep them motivated. As it relates to children and youth, we have a wonderful youth ministry here. You know, and I think it's something that's happening around the world. It's just church is not like it was when we were growing up. There were massive youth choirs when I was younger. Now the interest has just dropped off, but you have to do everything in your power to remain relevant. In fact, we have a youth day coming up. I presented to the team, hey, what can we do that's going to be interesting to open our service up? You know, when I was at Lewis Chapel, we did something called Kahoot. You know, you have to be very creative and try to be relevant in your worship spaces to keep your young people engaged. And the more you do that, the more they'll continue to come. I am truly grateful that our young people here, most of them dance with our dance team, Magnificat, and they do a phenomenal job. Sister Deidre Neal is our Magnificat director. She does an amazing job with the children, with the dance. Our youth choir is doing very well. Those leaders are very intentional about doing music that they like, but also making sure the music is biblically sound. And so we do all of that, but just making sure that you are relevant and keeping our young folk interested.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Again, folks, I am here today, very, very happy to have as a guest for this pop-up conversation, Dr. Will Harris, who has just released a new book entitled Music Ministry Unplugged, Real Lessons for Those Who Lead and Serve in Music Ministry. And this book is now available. Those of you who are music ministers and you're in need of resources and encouragement and education, this is a wonderful resource to add to your library. He just released it this past Tuesday, and it's available Amazon.com and Barnes and Noble. Another question I want to ask you, Dr. Will, who are or what? Let me say who were and are who are and were your mentors, folks that help shape who you are, help shape and define your leadership acumen. Who were some of the influential people that have guided you and formed you into the church musician and artist and author that you are today?
Absolutely. I would have to start. I went to a very small HBCU in Holly Springs, Mississippi called Rust College.
Oh, yeah.
It is the oldest HBCU in the state of Mississippi. And there I studied with Zebedee Reynolds Jones. I was a voice major there. Oh, my God. He poured so much into me. When I look back at videos of myself conducting or teaching a rehearsal, he poured so much into me. He was a phenomenal mentor for me. He has passed away, but he was a phenomenal mentor for me. Leo Davis, Memphis, Tennessee, was in Mississippi Boulevard for 30 plus years. Phenomenal music ministry. Billy Rivers, I served on the music staff at Golden Gate Cathedral in Memphis, Tennessee for many years under Billy Rivers' direction. A lot of the thought processes and things that I have. Billy was the first person that I actually mirrored who was doing music ministry full time. And so I had never seen it. And in fact, I did a part of my internship with Billy Rivers at Golden Gate Cathedral. Had no idea that I would ever be a full-time minister of music, but I actually did part of my internship with Billy Rivers. So Leo Davis, Billy Rivers were some of my phenomenal mentors. You, believe it or not, I've watched you over the years, your work at Friendship and Ebenezer, just stellar. Kurt Carr has always been a wonderful influence for me. If you listen to my writing, I love Kurt Carr. He's been a phenomenal friend and an influence for me over the years as well. And so those are just a few. But I will also have to mention.
Speaking of Kurt Carr, I'm gonna interrupt you right there. I'm gonna tell you your single, that church music medley, the old time church music medley, that is Kurt Carr down. To me, that's who I hear when I listen to that, and I love that medley.
Yeah, church in the old time way.
Church in the old time way. And if those of you that are watching this, go download that medley. If you like old school church songs, that medley is phenomenal, and it's on my Pentecost playlist.
Thank you. I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah. Let me get it from any digital platform. Will Harris and Friends Church in the Old Time Way medley. Yes. But I had one more that I wanted to raise. Oh, thank you. I have one more that I wanted to raise, and I think I know you know her. When I was working on my doctorate at Robert Weber, Dr. Constance Cherry.
Yes.
If you don't know who she is, research her. Her books are just amazing. She has a book called The Worship Architect. I think there's a part 1 and a part 2 at this point.
There's one called The Music Architect.
Yeah, The Music Architect. Very influential. I've never even had a chance to tell her how much she has blessed my life. And so if I were to think of any scholar, academic person, she would be that person who has served as a mentor for me. But thank you for the opportunity to shout those people out. Yeah, thank you for that.
Absolutely. So before we sign off, any final word of encouragement or any thing you want people to know about you, about this amazing book, before we sign off? And I'm just going to put it right here.
Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to you for this amazing pop-up conversation. Everybody, make sure you get your tickets for the birthday. What is it? Saturday Soul Saturday.
Sacred Soul Saturday.
Sacred Soul Saturday. I will be there in the place. Make sure we go and support Dr. Tony. Thank you for this opportunity to share about the book. Again, you can go to Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. Also, if you're looking to book me for a workshop, I'd love to come to your city. I'd love to do a workshop on the book. If you need some training in your music ministry, I would love to come visit my website at willharrismusic.com. You can find me on Instagram at The Official Will Harris. And you can find me on Facebook, Will Harris. My website, again, is willharrismusic.com. Would love to come to your church. Would love to come and do a book signing with you, maybe. A lecture or anything you think would be helpful to your music ministry. I hope that something we've shared this evening will be a blessing to you. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any additional questions or anything. Thank you, Dr. Tony.
And you're going to be in Fayetteville at your former church, Lewis Chapel, doing a book signing when?
Yeah, so I want to talk about two things before we go. So I'm going to be in Fayetteville on June the 20th, Juneteenth weekend, June the 20th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the John D. Fuller Recreational Athletic Complex at 6627 Old Bunts Road, Fayetteville, North Carolina. I will have books on hand. I'll be signing copies, taking pictures, that type of thing there on June the 20th. On July the 18th, I will be doing a book signing here at Metropolitan here in Largo, Maryland, here at the church. That book signing starts at 12:30. And at 2 o'clock, I'm doing a concert with my choir, Will Harris and Friends. The Metropolitan Music and Arts Ministry will be in concert as well that day. They'll be opening up the worship service, and then Will Harris and Friends will be the special guest that day here at Metropolitan Baptist Church. It is a free concert. It's open to the public. So the book signing starts at 12:30. The concert starts at 2 o'clock p.m. Would love to see my DMV friends and family to come through and support the book and the concert that day, July the 18th.
July 18th. There you have it, folks. Both June 20th and July 18th. June 20th in Fayetteville, North Carolina at Lewis Chapel, and July 18th at the Metropolitan Baptist Church in Largo, Maryland. That sounds like a full day on the 18th. The book signing and the concert. That's going to be wonderful, man.
Yes, sir. It will be a full day. I'm excited. This will be my debut as an artist to the DMV. I've been here an entire year, and so this is sort of my debut as an artist to the DMV. So I'm excited.
Okay, wonderful, 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 wonderful. Well, I want to say thank you for taking a couple of minutes to hop on and us talk about this book and put the news about the book out there for folks to think about, to consider. The summertime is a little bit of a downtime for a lot of those of us that serve in music ministry. We tend to give our choirs some downtime, and conference season is about to pop off.
It is.
We'll be attending on our Home by the Sea at the Hampton University Ministers Conference next Sunday, and then we got GMWA, Dorsey. Craig Hayes has his workshop in Florida. So many things that are coming up, and prayerfully you're going to be showing up at some of these conferences.
I will certainly be at Hampton. I plan to spend a few days at GMWA. I'm really excited about Hampton. This is my second year going.
Good.
I had a song there a few years ago, but last year was my first time attending. So I'm excited to go back this year. So I will be at Hampton next week. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. Folks, get your copy of this book, Music Ministry Unplugged, Real Lessons for Those Who Lead and Serve in Music Ministry, by the one, the only, Dr. Will Harris.
Thank you, Dr.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much for hopping on, and I look forward to seeing you at Hampton next week.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a great evening, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Here to show up and show out. 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 Yeah. Here to show up and show out. 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 Yeah. They cannot turn a notch. Do a lot. Move a lot. You can see it in my eyes if you knew or not. Since a young teen, it's been do or die.